Welcome to Scofield Farm. I'm Carice, and today I am mulching my garden because we live in a very hot climate, and I want to show you ways that we cut down on water usage. We help the plants not overheat and not get flooded, though we don't have a lot of rain that could be used for that as well, and how to thrive in the summertime without even really having shade cloth. For us, the key has been mulching, and I want to show you kind of how we do it. There's lots of materials you can use, not just what we do, but I'm going to demonstrate how we use wood chips. You will see lots of wood chips in our paths. We do wood chip all our paths. We usually lay down cardboard first to suppress weeds. We have lots of weeds. We don't actually have grass on our property, but we have lots of Bermuda grass, which I like to call chokeweed. We have other weeds like bindweed and lots of things with little burrs that get in my golden doodle dog's fur. So we suppress that first, and I hand pull anything that I need to. Another thing that's good in place of cardboard to lay down first, besides like black weed cloth, which is kind of expensive and it's plastic and they do end up getting through it someday. Anyway, but our feedbacks, we have chickens, and so we get like layer feed bags. Take the sticker off. They're a great way to suppress weeds, and then you can put a pile of wood chips over the top and make your paths not all crazy and weedy. So that's one idea. And then we also use wood chips in our actual garden beds. As you can see, we have some large piles of wood chips we got from companies like Chip Drop, or local utility companies will hire places to cut trees that are too close to lines. And those places also look for people who will take wood chips. So what we like to do is we like to let them age for 6 months to a year, sometimes longer. And then it doesn't really matter what size the wood chips are that I put in the garden paths, because I don't want them to break down too fast. But the ones that I put into the beds, I would like to sift. We've done different sifters, but you can use like even chicken wire, and you sift them, and so they're smaller and they aren't huge and, never breaking down in your soil. They're aged, so they actually become kind of like a woody compost layer that you put on top. A couple of my boys sifted these for me today. You'll see a couple of them are a little bit bigger than I would like to use, but a lot of it is like almost compost style, and it will retain moisture. Look at how nice and wet that is. That's just from the moisture that was already in the wood chip pile. I did not water these yet. So this will hold in moisture when my drip irrigation is run, and it won't evaporate from the soil so fast. Where we live in Northern California, we are right outside the second sunniest city in the US, and it gets very hot. Last June, it hit 122 at the airport where they take the official temperatures. There were different gardeners reporting that the thermometers in their garden showed even hotter. We are also Mediterranean climate, where we get our rain as cold, wintry rain over the winter time. And then we have a long season, about 5 to 6 months of completely dry and very hot temperatures. So I personally could not grow a garden as big as I have without drip irrigation. I also could not maintain a garden as large as we have without mulching. Now, as I said, you don't have to use wood chips. There are a lot of options for mulching. I know people who use a non-GMO alfalfa hay. That feeds the soil, similar to how wood chip has nutrients to feed the soil. You can use pine needles. Those are really good for beds under like berries that are acid loving. You can use straw. A lot of people pick straw, especially weed-free straw, so that they don't have grasses growing up in their garden. You can use grass clippings if you don't spray them with any type of weed killer. You can use, oh my goodness, so many things. I'm sure I'm forgetting something. You can even actually chop and drop your own plants to kind of act as a mulch that will break down and feed the soil. The key is not leaving the soil bare. That's what you need to remember. It doesn't have to be the mulch that I choose to use. It can be something that is easy for you to access, but it needs to be something. Oh, I know people who've bought like the pine bedding for animal bedding, like a chicken coop, and they just open that bag from Tractor Supply or their feed store, and they mulch their garden with that. So there's lots and lots of options. But if you want to retain the moisture and water less, you want to save on water costs, you want your plants to not get so hot that their roots cook, Mulching is a great idea, and it is really what helps our garden thrive in such a hot area. I was very influenced by the Back to Eden gardening method, where Paul showed how he had these big orchards, beautiful gardens. His gardens were in ground and ours are in raised beds, but they were all mulched with nice broken down wood chips. And so that was about 16, 17 years ago when I first dove into growing my very first tomatoes. And we have had some modified version of that ever since. Wood chips for us are inexpensive. We actually haven't had to pay anything for them. We can have them feed our soil. They can hold moisture. They actually are a great way to, put the carbon back into the garden, and we love it. We personally think they're a great way to go. Now, when you do mulch, you want to make sure to get all around the plants, but not to necessarily have it touch the stems of like your tomatoes, your peppers, especially with fruit trees. You want to have them away from the trunk of the tree, but when they're covering the soil, they work so well. You also want to make sure when you are planting that you do not get the wood chips mixed into the soil when you're putting the plant into the ground, like your new transplants. So what I do is I will rake them and brush them gently aside. I will plant my transplants, give them time to come up, and then I will often put a fresh layer on or brush back the wood chips that I had brushed to the side so that the ground can retain as much moisture as it can. If you've ever had the opportunity to be in a forest and to walk underneath the huge, beautiful trees, you'll notice the ground is kind of spongy, and that is because when the leaves fall, when things break down, nobody is raking and clearing the forest floor. It actually becomes a wonderful mulch that feeds the trees and feeds the soil that it's under, and it's a beautiful thing, and it's a great way to try to emulate that in the garden by mulching. You may have heard the term that the soil is modest and she wants to be covered, and so if we don't cover the soil with mulch, she will cover herself with something else, and often that is the form of weeds, things that we don't want to be there. Technically, a weed is any plant that is growing where it's not intended or appreciated. So this helps my weeding be far, far less. I do not spend the hours weeding that a lot of people do in their garden, part because they're raised beds and people don't walk in them, but also because I mulch. It actually does not give weed seed as much opportunity to see the light and to grow up. And so this is a time saver. It feeds my soil. It saves us water. It is, honestly, I think it is the way to go, not just in a hot, dry climate like ours, but really anywhere. Would you do me a favor and hit the like button? Also, I'd love to have you be part of our garden and homestead community, so subscribe and follow along if you would like. And just getting this one bed better mulched, I feel confident that this bed is going to be nice and full of moisture even after a hot triple-digit day tomorrow. I've got a ways to go in the rest of the garden. I have beds like this one that have a great layer of compost, but they definitely need to be mulched. But I am not worried because my method of gardening is to do what I can, the little I can each day, and it all adds up and it all matters after time. And really, if I spend the little bits of time here and there mulching, I save myself so much time of weeding and watering in the garden. And so I'd like to see you in my next video, which is the question, can you actually grow food and garden in 10 minutes a day? I'll see you over there.